All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a look at a piece of source material that is, well, it's one of a kind. It comes from what should have been a totally normal how-to video from a tech giant like Samsung. But what's hiding inside is one of the weirdest digital artifacts I think I've ever come across.
So this is really the heart of the whole thing. On the one hand, you have the expectation, right? A simple, helpful guide on how to move your stuff to your new phone. But on the other hand, you have the reality, this completely bizarre, cryptic string of words. I mean, how on earth do you get from point A to point B?
And that is exactly what we're going to try and figure out. So let's officially kick off our investigation into the Samsung Enigma. First up, we need to examine the primary piece of evidence.
And here it is, in all its glory. This is the official machine-generated transcript from Samsung's own video. And I want to be super clear. This isn't a typo, it's not just a little piece of it, no. This is the whole shebang. The sheer repetition, and then, out of nowhere, a name? It's like a little digital ghost in the machine.
This is the big question, isn't it? The one that's going to drive this whole explainer. Are we looking at a simple, boring glitch, or is there something a little more complex, maybe even a little more human, hiding inside this mess of text?
To get to the bottom of it, we have to treat this thing like a crime scene. We're going to do a full forensic analysis of the words themselves, thus for prints, and see what kind of clues we can dig up.
You know, when you look at it visually, the chaos actually starts to make a weird kind of sense. The word heat shows up 18 times. It's just completely overwhelming. And then you have heynat and up here, which are just these tiny little blips on the radar. So heat isn't just the main character of this story, it's practically the entire plot.
Okay, so let's focus in on our prime suspect here. Heat. What could it possibly mean? Are we talking literal thermal energy like the phone is about to melt? Could it be a metaphor, like the system is under a lot of stress? Or, and this is probably our most likely culprit, is it just the best guess a totally confused algorithm could come up with when it listened to a corrupted audio file?
But we can't just ignore the outliers, right? They feel different. They don't have that same robotic repetition that heat does. Is heynat an actual person being called out to? Is up here a reference to the cloud, where all the data's going? See, these are the little clues that make it hard to just write this off as random noise. So, we've gathered the clues, now comes the fun part. Let's start building some theories. How can we possibly connect this absolutely bonkers transcript back to its original purpose? A video about transferring data?
Okay, here are the main avenues we can explore. Theory A is, the obvious one. The machine just messed up. Big time. Theory B suggests a hot mic picked up some random chatter in the background. But then you get to the really exciting stuff. Could this be some kind of weird avant-garde performance art? Or maybe even a secret coded message hidden right out in the open?
Okay, just humor me for a second. Let's play this out. Picture the scene. The phone is getting dangerously hot, it's overheating. The user panics, they shout out to their tech whiz friend, "Hey Nat," and Nat, cool as a cucumber, just points and says, "Don't worry, the data is safe, up here, in the cloud." You know what? It almost makes a bizarre kind of sense, doesn't it?
All right, as fun as that little scenario is, it's probably time we land on the most likely conclusion. What's the real verdict here? And more importantly, what can we actually learn from this very strange digital oddity?
So when you boil it all down, the mystery isn't really a mystery at all. The real culprit here is almost certainly a faulty algorithm. The original video probably had some music, maybe some sound effects, and the AI just tried its best. It was trying to translate those sounds into words, and the closest thing it could come up with was heat over and over again.
But here's what's so fascinating. This whole thing reveals something really deep about us. The fact that we can even attempt to build a narrative about Nat and an overheating phone, it just shows how deeply our brains are wired to find meaning in everything. We are pattern-seeking machines, and when we're faced with total chaos, our first instinct is to tell a story to make it all make sense.
And really, that leaves us with one last thought. Look, this was a totally harmless little error. But as we start to rely more and more on these automated systems, their glitches stop being just technical problems. They become this sort of strange mirror, reflecting our own profound need to find a narrative, to find a story, even when we're staring into a sea of absolute digital noise.